So is Section 122 gone tomorrow or not? Someone just stopped me right in the middle of walking in, and I'm getting ready to go ahead and do my daily recording of the tariff intelligence briefing. So, guess what? We're going to go ahead and do a special Section 122. So, I think this is a perfect time to go ahead and go into this. If some version of that question has been sitting in your inbox or your group chat, your DMs, this is the FAQ that answers it. There's no news release language, just what changes at 12:01 tomorrow morning. And then it also covers what doesn't. Before we get into too much of it, I'm going to go ahead and make sure we understand the distinction through every answer today. Section 122's expiration is confirmed. It's a hard statutory deadline. It's not a proposal, not a maybe. Anything that might replace it after Friday is still proposed. Nothing is finalized as of this recording. Now, I'll tell you which is which every time because the procurement action is different for each one. This is your Tariff Intelligence Briefing, a Section 122 special edition for July 23rd, 2026. I'm Rainey Burke. I'm a procurement leader, trade and tariff risk strategist, 20 plus years in supply chain, founder of Career Chronicles, and the creator of the Tariff Operating System. The whole episode today is 5 questions. And these 5 questions are the ones that I'm hearing about the Section 122 sunset. They're answered straight with the procurement action attached to each one. Full analysis, citations, and tools are going to be at careerchronicles.org. I'll make sure I have the link in the show notes. Let's get into it. First question: what actually happens at the deadline itself? Well, the Section 122 surcharge, the 10% global import surcharge that replaced the invalidated IEEPA tariffs back in February, that expires by operation of law at 12:01 EDT Friday. Again, July 24th. That's the full 150 days the statute allows, and nobody extended it. Now, that has been confirmed. Congress has not passed any type of extension legislation, and the president cannot extend it unilaterally. That authority sits with Congress alone. The surcharge applies based on entry date. So basically, the goods entered for consumption or pulled out of a bonded warehouse for consumption before 12:01 a.m., July 24th, they still owe the 10%. Anything entered at or after that moment does not unless something else replaces it. And more on that in a minute. Here is the procurement action. You need to pull your entry summaries and flag anything scheduled to clear right around the cutoff, before versus after July 24th. That is the line that matters now. It's not the ship date. Don't assume the 10% just disappears from every open PO's landed cost. Check the actual planned entry date on each one. So I'm going to go ahead and interject with a quick story because we've been dealing with this for a year and a half. This has actually been something that's happened for, I want to say at least 10 or 20 years before. And what happens is that because of when the change goes into effect, there may be a delay at Customs Border Patrol or with CBP or with anything coming into the country. So the customs broker or customs paperwork might be off or the actual charges might be wrong. So you could have been charged you could be charged the 10% or there might be a lag or whatever the case may be, and or they may have just removed it, not realizing that your goods were already subject to that charge, and so you get billed later. That does happen. The reason why I'm so particular about making sure we have all this on record now is that we wanna make sure that we don't get that extra bill. I basically have seen, and I've noticed that other people are talking about it as well, is that we're getting bills from prior to Liberation Day saying that we owe a certain dollar amount of tariffs, and you're like, "Wait, wait, no, we don't. We don't owe that. Those tariffs did not go into effect until April 2nd, 2025." Because of my tariff operating system, if you're using that, you already have everything you need to go ahead and contest that bill. And so that's gonna be the same thing for this, is you wanna make sure you have your records in order. Okay, I trailed off a little bit, I apologize. Let me get back into the news. Alright, here's the second question. What about goods already on the water? Being in transit doesn't exempt you. Where the control is the consumption entry date, not when the container left port. Entry date before 12:01 a.m. July 24th, the 10% applies. Entry date after, it doesn't. That's why I say it's very important for you to go ahead and check your customs paperwork. That's a conversation to have about legally achievable entry timing, not something to try to game on your own. And to head off the confusion, the in transit exemption CBP used back at Section 22's February start date was tied to that original effective date. It has no bearing on the sunset. Different exemption, different clock. The procurement action. Talk to your customs broker this week about anything currently at sea or sitting in a bonded warehouse. If you don't have a customs broker and you're dealing with a logistics company, I'm pretty sure that they have one. At this point, I'm pretty sure you have a customs broker. Confirm the projected entry date, not the vessel ETA. You need to flag anything landing within 48 hours of the cutoff for manual review before it's filed. Now, if you want to check whether a specific product sits inside a covered HTS category right now, the free HTS rate lookup at careerchronicles.org shows the current section 301, 232, and 122 status in one place. Now, I'm just going to ask for a quick pause here. If this kind of breakdown is useful, please hit subscribe. Look, the deadline lands in less than a day. And I will be back the moment there's something new to report, like for my full news report later, which does tell you what actions to take, what tracker to use, and how you should be taking care of this on your own 90-day tariff risk calendar. Again, this is all stuff that you either have on your own or you can get mine. It's up to you. It's just you need to have some type of tariff operating system at this point. Okay, so the third question I've been getting, and this is the one I'm getting the most. Will I still be able to file for refunds or protest liquidation on Section 122 entries once the program itself is gone? Please understand, refund rights survive the sunset, regardless of anything. Refund rights survive the sunset. The 180-day protest window after liquidation is statutory. CBP has no discretion to shorten it, and a program expiring doesn't touch it. Now, your PSC, that's your post summary correction, remains available pre liquidation. Now, the procurement action here is very simple. Make sure you document the liquidation date on every Section 122 entry the moment CBP posts it. The date is what starts your 180-day clock, not the July 24th sunset, where a PSC window is still open on unliquidated entry. Now, use it now before the liquidation locks that number in. Now, remember, if you don't do that, you will lose this money. It is literally one of the things that you can get back, and you should be taking advantage of it. And this is a fourth question. Does something else step in on Friday? Nothing is confirmed as of this recording. USTR has a Section 301 forced labor investigation and posting hearing review. And you've heard me talk about that. The proposed duties is a 10 to 12 to 25% range across roughly 5 dozen economies. That's 60 economies, just for everyone's recollection here. But final country grouping, exclusions, and effective dates are still pending. That is proposed, not active. If nothing replaces the Section 122 by the time it lapses, which is tomorrow, and if you're listening to this at a later date, that's July 24th is tomorrow. Your fallback is the pre-Section 122 baseline. It's the ordinary MFN rates plus whatever Section 232 and existing Section 301 duties already apply to that product in origin. None of those other authorities change on July 24th. Here's your procurement action. Build your post-24th landed cost model on the fallback baseline. That's the MFN plus existing 232 and 301. Not a guess about a replacement rate that hasn't been finalized, okay? Please, no guessing. Watch for a Federal Register notice. If one lands, this number moves fast, and I'll flag it the same day, and you should too. Okay, now here's the fifth and last question. So, bottom line, what do I do this week? Number one, confirm the entry date, not the ship date, on anything scheduled to clear around July 24th. I started doing that on Monday. It is now Thursday, and I'm pretty close to being done. 2, document liquidation dates on paid Section 122 entries now, so the 180-day protest clock doesn't sneak up on you later. 3, model your post-sunset landed cost on the MFN plus the Section 232 plus the Section 301 fallback, not on an unconfirmed replacement rate. Number 4, keep every Section 122 entry record. Invoices, 7501s, broker correspondence, clean and retrievable. Make sure that everything is clean and retrievable. If a broader refund pathway opens later, the businesses with clean records move first. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and include a few resources. It's the 90-day tariff risk calendar, every deadline, hearing, and refund window through the rest of 2026. It's included in July 24th, free in the description. I'm also going to include the tariff refund suite for the link for that because that's super important that you have something like that ready for you. Mine is transformative, okay? And I say that because it literally takes away you having to enter anything by hand. There's an automation step that is just amazing that I love. I cannot believe that more people don't know about it. I'm going to also link a video that shows me using it so you can see exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, basically, with the 180-day protest clock now running on every liquidated Section 122 entry alongside your existing IEEPA and case work, the Tariff Refund Suite is built for exactly this stretch. It walks you through the PSC timing, the protest filing itself, and tracking every entry's liquidation date so a deadline doesn't pass unnoticed. If you found this useful, I feel like I'm begging. If you found this useful, please subscribe before you go. Again, I feel like I'm begging, but it's literally the fastest way to catch the update the moment a replacement rate gets finalized, and it lets me know that this is what you guys want me to do because I get DMs all the time asking me for this information, and now that I'm providing it, I need to see that it's worth it. I know it's a vanity metric, but it'd be nice to see that those subscriptions go up. Look, 1 day on the clock, one statutory deadline, and refund rights that outlasted either way. Prove that again. Look, 1 day on the clock, one statutory deadline, and refund rights that outlasted either way. The importers who come out ahead Friday aren't the ones scrambling at 12:01 a.m. They're the ones who already know their entry dates, their liquidation dates, and their fallback number. For the full breakdown, the live tariff rate lookup, and the refund process, visit careerchronicles.org. Links always will be in the show notes. This has been your Tariff Intelligence Briefing Special Edition, Section 122 for July 23rd, 2026. I'm Rami Verk, and I'll see you soon. Actually, you'll hear me soon. Have a great day.